Good afternoon. I'm Mike McGuire.
And I'm Curtis Wintler.
Today, we just want to make sure that everybody understands what we're trying to accomplish with our safety 24/7 one-to-one discussions. The engagement series is in place for us to engage with the employees. It's not a cookie-cutter approach. It will not look the same for everybody. The examples that are given are designed to generate discussion so we can talk about risk elimination being a personal responsibility with our employees in a way that they can relate to. Let's get started on what this should look like. Good afternoon, Curtis.
How you doing, Mike?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Hey, Curtis, thanks for adjusting your schedule and accommodating this meeting today.
Certainly.
All right. It's important to me that we take a couple minutes to talk about risk elimination. You know the company's been working on safety for a long time, and our results aren't what we want them to be, and certainly we know that we can do more. And we think that the difference is we just haven't made that personal connection to people so they can see how important risk elimination is for themselves and for their family and for their teammates. So today I'm just going to go through a little discussion and kind of give you some examples of how you can look at risk and sometimes the reward that we perceive. So if you think about it, Curtis, and I know you have a lot of risk at work and things that you do, but think about something off the job, that you might do where you think there's an element of risk.
I like to run. And when I go for my runs, it's usually after work and later hours. So as it gets darker, I'm out running, and I guess the risk is I could be struck by a car. So it's something that I'm always thinking about when I'm out on my evening runs.
That's great. And Curtis, it's good that you think about that, because that's one where you see the reward is you getting some exercise. And if you get home and it's dark, I admire you for still going out and doing that. But you're right, there's a lot of risk that's involved with running at night. What are some things that either you have done or things that you think you could do that would either eliminate or reduce that risk?
Well, one thing I do is I try and run on a sidewalk. I have a pre-planned route, so I know where the sidewalks are at, or where the edges of the roads are, the wide enough roads so I have an easement. One of the things that my wife has done for me is she's purchased me a reflective coat to wear so that when I'm out running in the evening that I'm more visible.
That's great. And that's important that your family's looking out for you, that they see that. It just goes to show how important you are to your family. So have you used the vest?
I haven't used it yet because it hasn't been dark enough, but I'm excited to use it when it does get darker.
Good.
Yes.
Something else you could use, they have little beacons that you can put on, the little LED lights that will help your visibility for those around you as well. And of course you have the halogen headlights that you can see where you're running. So if you have to run and it's the only time you can do it, there's some great benefits and I see the reward, but I just want you to evaluate the risk and see if there's a different way to adjust your schedule, either run in day or at least use the safety items that will eliminate some of that risk. Does that make sense?
Sure, absolutely.
Right. Curtis, one of the things that I want to get across to you, I'm using a real simple example about this risk-reward equation. Let's say, for example, would you accept $100 if I told you I'd give you a $100 bill to walk across 4th Avenue, to go get a cup of coffee? Would you do that?
No way.
You wouldn't walk across the street for $100?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll do it.
Okay. All right. But would you do it for $100 if I blindfolded you?
No.
Well, why not?
4th Avenue, it's a busy street, 5-lane street. No. That's
all right. Too much risk for $100?
Yeah.
What about $1,000?
No, not for $1,000.
About $100,000?
No, it's still a bit risky.
Okay. About $1 million.
I might take the gamble on $1 million.
$1 million solves a lot of problems,
yeah.
Right? That's a real easy example to see the reward for something that you even know is risky. You would accept that risk, as dangerous as it is, because the reward is so big. Sometimes, though, just in our day-to-day activities, we do things where we accept risk for a perceived reward that really isn't that big a deal at all. So I'd like you to think about talking on your cell phone while driving, okay? And most people, if they're honest, will admit that they've done that. So let's just imagine for a second that you're driving, your phone rings, and you just look to see who it is, okay? And it's an important call. Your daughter's calling you, okay? And she may be late for picking her up after swimming. What is your reward for answering that call?
The reward to me would be acknowledging that I received a call. They're calling me, so it's the reward for me is to answer the phone, to acknowledge it.
Sure. Okay. And I'm sure you're worried, you don't know what's wrong, so the reward is you might get that information 2 minutes sooner than if you pull off the road and then return the call. So what risks are involved for that little bit of information 2 minutes early? What kind of risks would you accept?
Well, if I'm driving home, obviously traffic, so I'm taking my eyes off the road. Conditions may change in front of me, and therefore, I may rear end somebody. I may swerve out of my lane because I'm distracted by looking at my phone. So that's just one. It takes your mind off of what you're focused on. So that's probably the biggest concern.
Right. And I know you don't want to get in an accident, hurt you, and I know you don't want to hurt someone else. But when you look at it that way, is the risk of answering that phone worth the reward of getting the information 2 minutes earlier?
No.
No. All right. That's one of the things that we just want to make sure that we start to look at the things that we do, evaluate the risk, and eliminate the risk that's within our control. Some of the things we can't control, okay, the people around us, so we have a lot of methods, things that we do that let us prepare for some of the things that go on around us. So while not everything is within our control, many things are still avoidable and preventable if we're careful. I like to use just a quick example that I've made a decision where I'm taking responsibility for my own actions.
Sure.
Something that I used to do, I really didn't see any risk at all involved with it. I love coffee, okay? Mm-hmm. So every morning when I left for work, I'd stop by the Starbucks right by my house. I'd get a big tall coffee and drink that when I was coming into work. So I never really saw any problem with it. Well, then one day I'm driving in, it's raining, and you're doing 60 miles an hour, it's dark out, and I'm drinking my coffee and I'm looking at how long I have to take my hand or my eyes off the road to grab the cup and where my eyes are when I'm drinking. And I realized, what am I doing? I was accepting a tremendous amount of risk, and when I really looked at it, the reward was drinking coffee 10 minutes earlier. So I made a decision, and the decision I made that day is I'm going to buy coffee at the Starbucks right across the street. Okay, I make sure they put a stopper in it, so I'm not even tempted to drink that, driving just that short distance from 4th Avenue over here. It's one of the little things I've done because I know that no matter how many times people tell me that there's a risk in distracted driving, I'm the only one that can make the decision to not accept that risk. So can you think of anything that we've talked about maybe in your job that you can look at and where you can make the decision to eliminate risk in both your personal life and at work?
Certainly. The thing comes to my mind is the example we used with the cell phone. I have my personal phone, I have my company phone, and whenever the company phone rings, I know that somebody's calling me because they got a concern or an issue that they need addressed right away. And they may not know that the reason why I'm not answering right away is because I'm driving, but after our discussion, I can see the risks associated with it, and I'll commit to making that right decision to pull over and take the call or wait till I get to my next destination.
Great. I'm glad to hear that, Curtis. So, when people identify risk for you, please take that serious. Take every step to eliminate risk. Look for ways that you can be safe both on and off the job.
Sure.
All right. Appreciate it.
You bet, Mike. Thank you.